on Facebook and Instagram. Perfect.
All right, good. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another episode from the Wellness Way, North Phoenix. My name is Dr. Brock Johansson, and today I am going to be going over a subject that is incredibly important, especially if you're a woman out there and you had a history of thyroid disease. Yes, even men tend to have thyroid disease, but not as often as women. So if you are somebody or you know somebody that has struggled with thyroid issues in the past, today what I'm going to be sharing with you is so important. I'm going to be sharing information that you will not hear in any other office out there. So pay attention. Today what I want to do is kind of go over the function of the thyroid, what causes it to fall apart, and then there's two different ways a thyroid can fall apart. It's an autoimmune disorder or it's being stressed out. So we'll go over both of those scenarios and what causes the thyroid to stop working. So in order for us to kind of figure that out, what I want to do is go over the symptoms of if you're having a bad thyroid or if something's not working right in this area of your body, what does that mean on the outside? One thing that I try to teach my patients on a regular basis is our bodies don't speak English, or whatever country you're from, our bodies don't speak our native language. So how does the body communicate? The body uses symptoms. It tries to send little red flags to wave in your face saying, hey, something's wrong. So we need to be able to pay attention to how our body communicates, because it's not going to speak English to you. It's only going to give you side effects or symptoms. So there's quite a bit of lists of symptoms when it comes to your thyroid not working properly. So I'm going to go over those right now. First things first is weight gain. Are you guys struggling 10 pounds, 15, 20, 50, 100 pounds? And no matter how hard you work out at the gym or no matter how many different diets you're on, you don't lose the weight? Well, it's physically and biologically impossible for you to lose weight if your thyroid is sick. So don't beat yourself up if you're working out at the gym 24/7 or you're doing crazy diets and it's still not working. It's just because the part of your body that tells your body to lose weight is saying, now's not the time. So stop trying to force your thyroid to work, listen to it, fix it, and then the thyroid drops the weight right off the bat, okay? So the next one is fatigue and weakness. When our thyroid isn't working and we're not able to burn calories and create calories and energy, then our fatigue levels go through the roof. We get real tired because this is the guy that when it runs fast, it gives us all the energy. But if the body senses that there's something wrong with you, it uses the thyroid and it turns the thyroid down so it keeps you down and slow. Your body's trying to keep you from overheating and dying. So it makes you feel really tired, really lethargic. And that's the body's way of talking. Unfortunately, we live in a society that has kind of brainwashed people into thinking that feeling sick or feeling kind of off, that's your problem. You need to take a pill and you need to get back to work. There's no time to take off. Don't listen to your body. Don't take natural time to heal. Shove a pill down your throat, get back in your cubicle, and do your 9-to-5 job. That's kind of the society we've lived in. So our body, our thyroid, will tell us, you need to stay home today. Maybe you shouldn't go work out today. Or maybe that camping trip on the weekend may not be the greatest thing because it's going to exhaust your body even more than what your thyroid's already trying to do for you. So if you're in this chronic cycle of just barely, restoring energy when you try to sleep, and then the next day you're just gassed, it may be because you're not listening to what your body's trying to tell you. And that's okay. That's what we're here to do here at the Wellness Way, is show you why and how to fix all these things. The next one is going to be a slow heart rate. So our heart's going to feel a little bit off. Again, our body's trying to slow us down because it's fighting something big on the inside. And if we just take a bunch of medicines and force ourselves back into work or play or whatever too soon, then that disease process just will stay there, and then it flares up a little later on. And then it goes down and then it flares back up. All right, the next one is elevated blood cholesterol levels. So if you guys have high cholesterol and you've been, unfortunately, somebody's told you to take a statin to lower those cholesterol numbers, if your thyroid's not working, that medicine's not going to have any impact. So with cholesterol medications, we do know that there's more negative side effects than there is any beneficial reason to take a statin. Am I the only one who's told you that? Come into the office. If you're taking a statin, It could be just because your thyroid's not working correctly. So taking that statin is a waste of time. All right, the next one is muscle weakness. So again, our thyroid is going to slow down our heart. It's going to slow down our energy production. So what do you think that's going to do to our muscle? It's going to make it weak. And it's also going to keep it from healing after you work it out. That's why it's so important that we understand how to treat the body the way that it needs. Because if you take the standard world's protocol and say, hey, in order to get better, you got to be in the gym 24/7. You got to be working out. You got to be doing all this stuff. I've actually had patients almost kill themselves trying to work out their disease process at the gym. I have a patient who had high sugar levels. He didn't know he had diabetes at the time. So his idea, because he was an athlete in college, is he thought, I'm feeling kind of down, I'm feeling kind of weak. That means I just need to go work out at the gym really hard. And so he did that, and his health just plummeted. He almost died because he wasn't listening to his body correctly. So he came in, and long story short, I told him, I said, one of the best things you can do for your body right now is stop working out. And he didn't believe me, because no doctor has ever told him, if you want to be healthy, stop working out. So he looked at me, and he was sick enough to say, okay, Dr. J, I'm gonna take your recommendations. He went home and he rested for a week, and he lost 10 pounds. Seriously, it can be that simple, but people don't know these things, okay? So he goes home, treats his body with respect, because we know how to treat it correctly, and he starts losing the weight. His sugar levels drop into functional ranges because he's doing it the right way, okay? The next one is muscle aches. So again, if the muscle's not healing as you sleep at night from all the stress that you put on it the day before, you're going to carry this continuous sore, achy muscle feeling. Women, for sure, women and your menstrual cycle, super sensitive to the function of your thyroid. So if you're having painful cramps, irregular periods, having issues with fertility as well, it can all be tied into the thyroid. Okay. The next one is our emotions. So the thyroid not only kind of sets the pace of the body, it also sets the pace of our brain. So anxiety and depression, when the thyroid is not working properly, is a huge symptom. Again, it's not a bad thing. Does that sound weird? It's not a bad thing that your body is trying to save your life, and it's doing it by trying to warn you. Again, this is the language the body speaks. It doesn't speak English. So if you're feeling this way, that just means your brain or your body is trying to tell your brain something. That's really cool. All right, next one is constipation. Our digestion and our intestinal tract is 100% dependent on the thyroid. If this is slowing down and trying to warn us that there's something wrong with us, it's also going to slow down this, because this is where we get a lot of calories. And if our thyroid's turning down and we're becoming little hermits because we're sick now, we don't want to consume a bunch of calories, because that just will go into fat, okay? So we're definitely going to be constipated. The contractions of the muscles in our intestinal wall, that's all hormone related, and is super tied in to the function of our thyroid. All right. Some people will get a enlarged thyroid. So the area of their neck right here will become swollen and larger. That's very typical for any sort of organ that is trying to produce more hormone, but the body's not doing it correctly. Typically what the body will do is it'll make it swell and become larger. Okay. The next one is joint pain and stiffness. Again, we talked about the muscle, but that also goes into the joint as well. The next one, on the outside, you'll notice a lot of dry skin, dry scalp, and you'll start losing the edge of your eyebrow. So things on the skin will change. Colors, because our blood flow is related to our thyroid, the skin color may change, and then, of course, the moisture content of our skin will change. And then the next big one, the one that ladies out there and men as well, is cold sensitivity. So being cold all the time, being cold at home, being cold at church, being cold in the car or in the movie theater, always having to bring a sweater or a jacket or a shawl, that is also an indicator that your thyroid may not be working properly. So right off the bat, I went over, what are these, 14 side effects from just one gland, one organ in our body, the thyroid.
Every body system.
Yeah. So let's talk, now that we are aware of what happens when the thyroid isn't working. Again, these symptoms are your body's way of trying to talk to you. Don't take it personally. Don't think that you're a bad person and that's why you had these symptoms. It's just for the longest period of time, maybe you just didn't know how to listen to your body. And that's what we do really well here at the Wellness Way, because we do testing and we know exactly what's happening, so we're not guessing. How many of you guys have gone to a doctor's office and you just feel like they're guessing? And you're probably right. Okay, so let's talk about how the thyroid talks to you. Now let's talk about how the brain talks to our thyroid, because these guys have to work together. The brain works with the thyroid, and also our adrenal glands work with our thyroid. These two organs, the brain and the adrenal glands, are the two guys that kind of tell the thyroid what to do. So let's talk about that. So we have a special little gland in our brain called the pineal gland. It's right here at the front of our brain, and it produces a hormone called thyroid stimulating hormone, or TSH. Okay. TSH comes out of that gland and comes down into the body, and it stimulates the thyroid. Thyroid stimulating hormone. The answer is in the name, okay? When the thyroid gets touched by this hormone and it becomes active, the thyroid will respond by producing a bunch of hormones. Now, the ones that are the most commonly known and checked for in the world are two, T3 and T4. Okay. So these are the hormones. There's other ones, but I'm just going to stick with these today just for the conversation. These are the hormones that once they're produced by the thyroid will go and stimulate all the other parts of our body, so we can start burning fat, so we can start making energy, so we can start losing weight, and all of these symptoms will start going away based on how well our brain and our kidneys and our thyroid are talking to each other. So let me do the kidneys real quick. So from down below, not the kidney, but the adrenal gland. So the kidney is right here, and then the adrenal gland sits right above it. And the adrenal gland produces two hormones, cortisol, which is our stress hormone, and DHEA. Okay. So again, as these hormones are being released from the brain and the adrenal glands, it comes and it stimulates the thyroid, telling, hey, we need more or less of something. It's kind of a cool little, they sit down and they kind of talk to each other. When this stimulates the thyroid gland, we get the T3, T4. Those are two of the basic ones that we test for. And then these go in and stimulate our body to be healthy, lean, energetic, gets our sleep patterns down. We just feel great. The anxiety, the depression, the skin issues, the weight, all that starts to go away as soon as we start finding out what is interrupting these hormones from talking to each other. All right. Do you mind grabbing me a little thing? Okay. All right. So now that we have an idea of the thyroid and the other hormones and organs that work with it, first thing I want to do is talk about what are some of the major things that we find here in our office that other doctors' offices don't typically find out. And for that reason, people stay sick with thyroid issues for longer than they have to. Remember, if we have a sickness, it's only temporary. It's only temporary until you find the mechanism of what's causing the dysfunction. So with the thyroid, there's two categories. There's kind of a stress inflammation that leads to thyroid dysfunction, but then there's also chemicals that will do that as well. So the emotions and the chemicals are two of the biggest common factors that turn off a thyroid. So let's go into those. Now I'm going to talk about autoimmune disease first.
And it went sideways. I don't know how to fix it.
Okay. Maybe just turn it off and turn it back on. Anyways, go ahead and do that.